In this lesson, we're going to add a ceiling, group it together, and then introduce the concept of tags. So first, let's draw the boundary of the ceiling. We're just going to do a flat one for this space. It's kind of the easiest one for an intro course to accomplish. So let's grab our line tool, L for line, and then we're going to reference the outer corners. And at this point, they should be purple. So you may have remembered that in the past, they've been green. So why are they purple? So when you are working outside of a group or on top of a group, I call it sometimes, all of the endpoints and midpoints and edges, our squares, are now purple. So all of the references for us are purple. And that's just indicating that we are working outside of a group. If I were to hit spacebar and double click into this group and start drawing, now I get colored, dots and a colored endpoint here, edges, things like that. So they're all different colors, but when we are working on top of the group, I hit spacebar and clicked out. Back to my line tool, now everything is purple. So it's just another one of those visual indicators that lets us know we're outside or on top of a group. So I'm going to click release and then come over here to this corner, and we're just referencing the outer corners here. Click release. Working our way around, and you can see as soon as I click, it turns green because now we're working on top of loose or, geometry that we have access to. So it starts purple, click release, and now it's green. So this is geometry that we have access to. We're just working our way around the entire perimeter here until I'll hit spacebar and click, we have a face. This is what we've created. We were just using the base here as a template because our ceiling is going to be the same shape and size as the outer part of our walls. So when we hit P for push-pull, we should be able to pull up this face and it should be the same shape as the base there. So once you have this face here, we can hit P, push-pull, click release, move upwards, and the height of this doesn't really matter. I usually start with 4. Enter. If you are putting 2 stories together, it might want to be something more like 12 inches for the floor above, ceiling below, that thickness there. But I usually just start at 4. Just give it some thickness. All right, so now it's still loose. We've got all this loose geometry on top of a group. So with this, our select tool, let's triple click 1, 2, 3, and we should see everything turn blue. It's not grouped together yet, it's stippled, but you should also see these side faces here. So not just a double click, we want it to be 1, 2, 3, selecting all of this loose geometry. Now we can right click, make group, or if you're on a Mac, it's going to be Command G. And our bounding box there should be, you should be able to see the extrusion on that. If you don't, you might want to undo and make sure you got all of that geometry there to make the group. And now we can see the outer boundaries of that wrapper. All right, so now you have a ceiling. So now what? We would like to work on the inside of our space here, and we can't do that very easily if there is a ceiling on it. We don't want to have to fly through our doorway and work on it from the inside. We want to be able to take the top off, sort of like a dollhouse. But I like to have the ceiling there when I'm using my interior views so that the sun doesn't come through. We can add lighting to the ceiling or designs, things like that. So the ceiling is important, but for now, I don't want to see it. So we don't want to have to wait till the very end to add our ceiling. So instead, we are going to use what are called tags. And tags allow us to control the visibility of something. So let's open up that panel. We're going to go to Window, Tags, and if you are on a Windows machine, you're going to click on that default tray on the right. Go ahead and click the pin icon. There's a little pin at the top where you can pin that open and scroll down to your Tags panel. And here it should say Untagged. So we have we just have one in the list. That's the default. And the most important thing to remember about tags is if you expand this and you see this little pencil icon, The most important thing is to leave the pencil always on untagged, unless you know exactly what you're doing and you have a plan for it. So let's go ahead and add one. Click on the plus sign here, and let's call it ceiling. And then enter. So you can see you have the ability to move the pencil, but just because you have the ability to doesn't mean you should. It started out like this, where it was kind of minimized. You couldn't see the pencil. So if you happen to bring your window out and you see the pencil, you may be tempted to move it around as you work on the different areas of your model, because that's the way other programs work, like Photoshop with layers, but SketchUp is different. We will talk more and more about tags in future courses and really get into the nitty-gritty of it. But just know, always leave the pencil untagged. All right, so off my soapbox there. Now we're going to select the ceiling tag. So don't move the pencil, just select the title here. It should be blue. We don't want to double click and change the title. Just select it once and then click on this tag icon here, tag tool. So now we can click on the ceiling and it should momentarily turn purple, and then we let go. I'll hit my space bar and then turn off the ceiling tag. So click on that little eyeball icon there and your ceiling should go away. If your walls also go away, that means that you accidentally clicked on your walls too. So you don't want this to happen. You want your walls to stay untagged for now. So bring everything back, click on untagged, and go ahead and grab that icon again, this little one here, and click on your walls. Apply untagged. So you should just see your ceiling go away. You can also see where geometry, which tag it lives on in your entity info panel. So let's go ahead and right click and choose entity info. And now we can see this panel. So Mac users, you may see that you can stack these panels by clicking and dragging the title there, and they're snapping together. You can also minimize them by clicking on the title. All right, so we are going to check this out. If you select, let's see here, hit your space bar and then select your base group here. Under tag, it should say untagged. If it says ceiling, it's going to go away when you turn off your ceiling. So go ahead and select your walls and use the drop down to move them back to untagged. So that's just an alternate way to tag something. You can either use your tag tool, or you can select it, and in entity info, you can use the drop down and change it. When I select our ceiling, it should say ceiling. And when I select my walls at this point, it should just say untagged. All right, so that's where we're headed, is to be able to turn our ceiling on and off as we need it. I'm going to go ahead and close out of these two panels here. Windows users, you can unpin. Actually leave that tray pinned open, because we are going to check our styles real quick. In our default tray, go to styles, or on a Mac, you want to go to Window, Styles. So again, Windows users, this is going to be in your default tray. Mac users, go to your Styles panel. So Window, Styles. And remember, we created our own working style, and that served us really well in 2D because we could see the faces when we drew them on the ground plane. But now we're in 3D and we're going to be able to see faces more easily. So we can go to select, and remember this first icon here, that construction documentation style. You can click on that and it will bring us back to the original style. Now, I don't really love the thicker profiles. I really enjoy just having my profiles at either a 1 or a 0. So let's go ahead and edit the style, get a little more practice editing our styles. So let's go to edit, and then this wireframe icon here. And you can either turn off your profiles or you can just bump them to a 1. Let's go ahead and move it to a 1. So highlight that 2 and click 1, enter. And you can see the change that it makes there. That's a 2, that's a 1. I'm going to leave it at 1 and then click on the update icon here. All right, so we've got 2 styles in the model still. This was our working. And this was the original style that came with the template that we started with, but we're going to edit that and bump the profile to a 1. So again, it's edit, wireframe, under profiles, just move it to a 1 and update that style there. So you should not see the little wheel here any longer. It should just say 1, and this should be the thumbnail. All right, so that concludes this section of the course, Draw in 3D. In the next section, we are going to take a really big look at the 3D warehouse, where we start adding in the different pieces of our design, adding in doors and windows, and we're also, after that, going to add in textures. So I'll see you in the 3D section.